Imagine if we allowed a 12-year-old to walk into a casino, sit down at a slot machine designed by the world's most brilliant behavioral psychologists, and stay there for 8 hours a day. We'd never allow it. As a society, we'd step in instantly. We'd say that brains aren't ready. The risk of addiction is too high and it's predatory. Yet, that is exactly what millions of parents do every single day when we hand an under 16-year-old a smartphone with unrestricted access to algorithmic social media feeds. But the rules of the internet are about to change forever. Following Australia's landmark rollout, the UK officially announced its own historic under 16 social media ban. The era of tech giants having unchecked direct access to children's attention spans is coming to an end. Today we need to talk about why this ban isn't just a good idea, it is a mandatory piece of cultural self-defense, and why, despite the massive pushback from tech companies and teenagers alike, it is the best thing to happen to childhood in 2 decades. Now, before you think I'm just some detached commentator preaching from an ivory tower, let me get personal. I do have 2 children, and right now my house is an absolute battleground over this exact topic. My 14-year-old son is already complaining about this law on a daily basis. And the funniest, most ironic part is, by the time this law actually gets fully implemented in 2027, he will have less than 6 months before he turns 16. He is literally fighting a massive, exhausting war for a restriction that will barely even touch him. But he can't see the reason for it, and honestly, I don't blame him. When you're 14, your entire social life feels like it lives inside the glass brick inside your pocket. To him and millions of other teens, this doesn't look like a public health measure. It looks like draconian punishment. It feels like the government and their parents are teaming up to cut them off from their friends and isolate them. But there is a massive gap between what a teenager feels social media is doing for them and what the data proves it is doing to them. Let's look at exactly what's happening inside the developing brain. To understand why a line has to be drawn at 16, you have to understand basic neuroscience. A teenager's brain is undergoing a massive architectural remodel. The reward centers of the brain, the parts that seek social validation, status, and dopamine, are running at 100% capacity. They are hypersensitive. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for long-term consequences, impulse control, and emotional regulation, aren't fully developed until you're about 25 years old. Silicon Valley engineers didn't just build apps, they built dopamine delivery mechanisms that perfectly exploit this exact biological vulnerability. When an adult scrolls through an algorithmic feed, they can usually step back and say, well, I wasted an hour, I need to stop. When a child does it, they physically do not have the neural hardware to consistently resist the pull. The algorithm feeds them endless scrolls, hypersexualized standards, and outrage loop after outrage loop. It's a completely unfair fight. A child's unfinished brain versus a $1 trillion supercomputer trying to keep them staring and hooked into the machine. And the biggest argument against this ban, the one that my son and critics of the law love to bring up, is isolation. If you take away social media, you're cutting kids off from their community. But let's look at the actual reality. Over the last 15 years, as adolescent social media adoption hit nearly 100%, youth loneliness, depression, and clinical anxiety didn't go down. They skyrocketed to unprecedented levels. Unrestricted scrolling isn't connecting our kids, it's substituting genuine, deep human interaction with a hyper-competitive digital popularity contest. Furthermore, look at how these laws are actually written. The UK and Australian bans are actually targeting algorithmic, public-facing feeds. They generally do not ban pure utility messaging apps like WhatsApp, Signal, or FaceTime. Kids can still text their friends. They can still organize a meetup at the park, chat about their homework, and stay in touch. The ban doesn't stop kids from talking to each other. It just stops ByteDance and Meta and even YouTube from injecting targeted, addictive content into their social circles. The real magic of a government-level ban isn't just the tech side of blocking access, it's the cultural shift it forces. Right now, as a parent, it is incredibly difficult to say no to social media. Because if you're the only parent saying no, your child is genuinely left out at school. It creates massive resentment at home, and I see it firsthand. But when the law steps in and sets a collective floor, it changes the default setting of childhood. Suddenly, nobody in year 9 or year 10 has TikTok by default. The social pressure vanishes. The FOMO disappears because there's nothing to miss out online. Instead, the social scene shifts back to where it belongs, the real world. And yes, I do acknowledge that there are downsides to this ban. It means that adults are going to have to also age verify all of their social media accounts, and it means more government-level intrusion into our online lives. However, I'm still in support of this under 16 social media ban. And that's because tech companies have had over a decade to self-regulate, and at every single turn they chose quarterly profits and user engagement over the mental health of children. Forcing a line in the sand at 16 isn't a restriction of freedom. It's giving kids their collective childhood back. It gives them time to build, to play, to focus, and to learn who they are before the internet tries to tell them who they should be. But I know that this is a massive topic. If you're a parent watching this video, is your household a battleground over this topic right now? And if you're a teenager who thinks I'm completely wrong, let me hear it in the comments while you still have access to YouTube for now. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, and maybe if you live in a country which doesn't have a social media ban yet, do you want one to be implemented? Make sure to leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.